All right, so today we're diving deep, and I mean really deep, into the world of entrepreneurial wisdom. We've got 25 years worth to unpack, and thankfully it's all been distilled down for us.
And not just any distillation. We're talking about pure, concentrated insights from a 7-time best-selling author, someone who's been in the trenches since the early 90s, John North.
John North, exactly.
Right.
And his book, The 5 Stages to Entrepreneurial Success, that's our guide for today.
You know, what I find fascinating is that John's entrepreneurial spirit, it goes way back, even to his childhood.
Oh, absolutely. We're talking like kid entrepreneur. He had this thing with chickens, right?
Chickens, yeah, but not in the way you might think. We're not talking about a 4-H project here. This was a business.
Pure business.
Yeah.
John had his supply fresh eggs straight from the source. And get this, he created the demand himself, going door to door selling those eggs. Talk about a crash course in supply and demand. I mean, how old is he, like 10?
Doesn't say exactly, but you hit the nail on the head. It's that early hustle. Those foundational lessons, that's what we're looking at. He was already thinking about profit margins as a kid. And hold on, it gets better. This wasn't just a one-time thing, this egg business.
Yeah.
He was setting up pretend businesses all throughout his childhood. And get this, in rural Queensland, Australia. We're not talking about a kid with a lemonade stand on a busy street corner here.
No kidding. Talk about resourcefulness. That entrepreneurial spirit, it was practically in his DNA. And you can see that work ethic really shining through in his teenage years.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, picture this.
Yeah.
You've finished school. Instead of hanging out with friends, you're rushing off to your job packing vegetables at the local supermarket.
Wow, that's dedication right there.
Right. But then things take a turn, as they often do. The 90s hit, and with it, the computer boom.
Ah, the Wild West of technology. Everyone and their grandmother wanted a piece of the action, but very few people actually understood computers, let alone software.
And John, being the tech-savvy go-getter that he is, he sees this opportunity and he seizes it. Starts his own part-time business while still working at a bank, which, let's be honest, that's the classic side hustle story, right?
Absolutely. I mean, so many of our listeners are probably nodding their heads right now thinking, been there, done that. And you know what? It's inspiring to see how quickly he found success. We're talking 30 clients in no time.
That's incredible. It really shows you the power of seizing those opportunities, of being in the right place at the right time with the right skills.
Absolutely. And he wasn't afraid to hustle. There's this anecdote about the Motorola flip phone. Remember those?
Oh, I remember them well. Back then, that was the ultimate status symbol.
Right. But for John, it was more than that. It was a tool that allowed him to close deals during his lunch break. I mean, how's that for maximizing your time?
That's amazing. He was literally closing deals on the go.
Yeah.
But in these stories, just as things are going great, the business is booming, he gets hit with a major curveball, the GST. And those who don't know, it's a new tax system in Australia, and it throws the entire business landscape into chaos.
And John gets hit hard, like really hard. He talks about an 80% drop in business almost overnight. That's enough to make even the most seasoned entrepreneur break a sweat.
Absolutely. I mean, that's a devastating blow.
Yeah.
So what does he do? Does he throw in the towel? Call it quits.
He does something that takes a lot of courage, something that many entrepreneurs wouldn't even consider. He takes a job.
A job. After 9 years of being his own boss.
9 years, yep. He goes to work for his accounting software supplier.
Wow. Now that's a plot twist I wasn't expecting. Talk about a reality check.
But you know, it's interesting, isn't it? This taking a job?
Yeah.
It wasn't a failure.
No, not at all.
It was a stepping stone.
Right. And that's what I think is so important for our listeners to remember. It's like sometimes you got to zig when you thought you were going to zag, you know?
Exactly. And John, he zigs with purpose. He joins this accounting software company.
Right, the one he ends up working for.
Yeah, and they're struggling. But John, he doesn't just see a struggling business. He sees an opportunity.
Because this is the early 2000s, right?
Yeah.
The internet, it's starting to really take off.
Exactly. And John, he's one of the few who really grasps the potential of the online world. He sees this massive shift coming, knows the future of business. It's online.
And that's when EvolveYourBusiness.co was born, right? His big leap into high-ticket consulting.
Bingo. And this, my friend, this is where things get really juicy for our listeners, especially those who, want to break free from the hourly hustle.
Because high-ticket consulting, that's the dream for so many entrepreneurs, but it's also like the biggest hurdle.
It's scary.
It is. You're asking people to invest significant amounts, and often it's overcoming that fear of charging what you're truly worth.
100%. And you want to know how John tackled this? He had this thing, he called it his pricing ladder. Started at $2,500 a month.
Okay, that's a decent chunk of change already.
Right. But hold on, he gradually increased it, step by step, all the way up to $10,000 per month.
Whoa, 10 grand a month. That's a serious investment. I mean, most people, they'd be terrified to even utter those numbers.
Sure, but John, he understood a fundamental truth. Value trumps price. Every time.
It's about positioning, right? Present yourself as that premium consultant.
Exactly. You attract a different clientele when you do that. Clients who are serious, ready to take action. They're not looking for the cheapest option. They're looking for results.
And I'm guessing, with those prices, he wasn't drowning in clients, but he didn't need to be.
Exactly. He talks about reaching $500,000 in revenue in just the first 6 months of launching evolveyourbusiness.co.
See, now that's what I'm talking about. But even with that kind of success, even with cracking the high-ticket code, there's a lesson here, right? About sustainability.
Ah, you're good, yes. John realized that relying solely on high-ticket consulting, it meant constantly being on the hunt. Always looking for that next big client.
Which can be exhausting.
Totally. So he starts exploring this idea of recurring revenue.
Okay, for those who might not be familiar, what is recurring revenue exactly?
Think of it like this. It's the gift that keeps on giving. It's income that comes in regularly, month after month, like clockwork. Subscriptions, memberships, even retainers, things like that.
So instead of always chasing those one-off deals, you're building a stable base of income.
Exactly. A safety net for your business.
And that's where things take another interesting turn in John's story, right?
Oh, yeah. You see, his foray into the world of recurring revenue, it wasn't some calculated business move at first. It actually started because he decided to test marketing strategies on himself.
On himself. Okay, I'm intrigued. What does that even mean, testing marketing on yourself?
He decided to write a book.
A book, so he became his own case study.
Exactly. John had figured out that one of the most effective ways to market, well, anything really, was to write a book. Share valuable insights, establish yourself as an expert.
And it worked?
Like a charm, not one, but 2 best-selling books. And that's how EvolveGlobalPublishing.com was born. He took his own success, his own experience, and turned it into a way to help other authors do the same.
Talk about turning your journey into a legacy.
Right, and this is just the tip of the iceberg. See, John, he's a big believer in continuous learning. He talks about this period where he dives deep into courses, workshops, all sorts of things.
Oh, the information overload phase, we've all been there.
Oh, absolutely. And John admits to falling into that trap as well, signing up for everything, trying to absorb it all.
It's so easy to get caught in that cycle, especially with so much information out there. You're constantly bombarded with the next best thing, the secret strategy.
Right. And John, he realized it's not about the quantity of information you consume, but the quality, the focus. So instead of chasing every shiny object, he became very intentional with his learning, seeking out knowledge that directly applied to his goals.
He talks about this one course in particular, right?
Yeah, this course was a game changer for him. It's where he really got a handle on online marketing and how to adapt those strategies for his businesses.
It's about finding that right information at the right time, the stuff that truly moves the needle.
100%. And all of this, the highs, the lows, the lessons learned, it all feeds into his framework of the 5 stages to entrepreneurial success. And that's what we're going to unpack next. It's about to get really good, really practical, these 5 stages. This is where John's journey, all the bumps and wins, turn into like a clear roadmap for anyone listening.
Right. It's one thing to have the experience, but to then turn it into a framework, something others can replicate, that's the gold.
Totally. But before we dive headfirst into each stage,
Yeah.
there are these threads, these themes that run through John's whole story.
Yeah, I see that.
That apply no matter where someone is on their own entrepreneurial adventure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of those threads, for me, has to be John's obsession, and I say that lovingly, with systems.
Oh, tell me about it.
He's constantly talking about it, right?
Yeah.
Automating processes, minimizing manual work. It's like he's allergic to inefficiency. I mean, he even says, and this is a direct quote, automation is key at this stage. The more you can do to remove manual intervention or staff involved in business processes, the better you will be for the long term.
Music to my ears. And it makes sense, right? Because ultimately this whole entrepreneurial journey, it's about freedom, right?
Right.
But that time master goal, that freedom to choose how you spend your time, it doesn't happen if you're constantly bogged down in the day-to-day grind.
And speaking of strategic, this ties into another major takeaway, one that's so easy to overlook. Niching down.
Oh, preach.
It's tempting to try to be everything to everyone,
It's
right?
so tempting.
Cast a wide net, see what sticks.
Yeah.
But John's story, it shows the power of specialization.
100%. Even within those broad industries, like you said, accounting, software, consulting, he always found that sub-niche, that sweet spot.
And by focusing on that specific audience, by tailoring his offerings, he automatically positioned himself as the go-to expert, which, guess what, often means higher value. And you know what comes with higher value?
Higher prices.
Exactly. And that leads us right into another theme that's so crucial. Value over price. I love that example he gave about the web design business, the one where he realizes that by serving fewer clients at a higher price point, he actually ends up making more money.
Less is more, my friend.
Yeah.
A classic case of quality over quantity.
He wasn't just churning out websites. He was providing a premium service, and that attracted a certain type of client.
The kind of client who values expertise, who's invested in the outcome. They're not haggling over a few bucks, They see the bigger picture.
And that's the key. But look, let's not pretend that this journey is all sunshine and roses, right? There are bumps along the way, and one of those bumps for John, at least early on, was marketing.
Oh, he learned that lesson the hard way, didn't he? Early struggles, all stemming from a lack of marketing, but then he becomes like this marketing machine.
Because he realized, and he talks about this in the book, there's no magic bullet. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. It's about testing, tracking, refining. It's about being data-driven, not just gut-feeling driven.
Exactly. He debunks this myth of the black box solution. It's not about finding that one weird trick. It's about putting in the work, analyzing the results, and constantly optimizing. Okay, are you ready? Are we diving into the 5 stages?
Let's do it. Break it down for us. What's the first stage, the foundation of it all?
Stage 1, the founder stage. This is all about clarity, getting crystal clear on your mission, defining your goals, understanding what you want to achieve. It's about asking those big, scary questions. Why does your business exist?
It's that deep inner work, right?
Exactly. Who are you serving? What problem are you solving? It's tempting to skip over this,
Oh, yeah.
Get caught up in the excitement of starting a business, but without that strong foundation, you're building on shaky ground.
So once you've done that inner work, you've got that clarity, what comes next?
Stage 2, the explorer stage. Time to roll up your sleeves, dive into market research, test your assumptions. This is where you're gathering the resources, the knowledge, everything you need to bring your vision to life.
It's that exciting phase of discovery, figuring out what works, what doesn't.
Exactly. And being open to pivoting, adjusting your course along the way. Don't be afraid to experiment.
All right, so you've got your foundation, you've explored the landscape. What's next on this entrepreneurial roadmap?
Stage 3, and this one's close to my heart. The organizer stage. This is where systems come into play big time.
This is where John's obsession with efficiency really shines.
Well, yeah, streamlining processes, automating as much as possible.
Yeah.
Remember, the more you can systematize, the more you free yourself up to focus on growth and those big picture decisions.
Okay, 3 stages down, 2 to go. What's next?
Stage 4, the investor stage. Now, before you think it's all about venture capitalists and seed funding, remember John's approach. Sometimes the best investment is in yourself. This stage is about investing your time, your energy, your resources strategically to fuel your business's growth.
So it could be taking a course, hiring a coach, expanding your team.
Exactly. Anything that aligns with your long-term vision and helps you reach those big goals. And finally, drum roll please, we've reached the pinnacle, the holy grail for many entrepreneurs. The time master stage.
This is it. This is what we're all striving for.
Freedom.
Freedom.
That work-life balance where your business runs like a well-oiled machine, even without your constant involvement.
It's about having the time and space to enjoy the fruits of your labor, to pursue those passions, to spend time with loved ones. It's about building a business that works for you, not the other way around.
And that's the ultimate goal, right? To have the freedom to choose how you spend your time. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have. John's story is so inspiring. It's a reminder that entrepreneurial success is not about luck. It's about hard work, resilience, and a constant willingness to learn and adapt.
And to embrace those systems. Don't forget about the systems. Seriously, his journey from selling eggs as a kid to building multiple successful businesses, it just goes to show that with the right mindset and the right strategies, anything is possible.
It's been an incredible deep dive into John North's 5 stages to entrepreneurial success. I feel like we've only just scratched the surface, but hopefully it sparks some ideas for our listeners, giving them a taste of what's possible.
Absolutely. And the great thing about John's book is that it's packed with actionable advice, real-world examples. It's one of those books you can revisit at different stages in your journey and keep finding new nuggets of wisdom.
So to our amazing listeners, we leave you with this. Think about John's story, the key takeaways, and those 5 stages. Where are you on your entrepreneurial journey? What's one action you can take today, inspired by John's incredible journey, to move yourself closer to that time master stage?
Every journey starts with a single step. Take that step today.